From WCIA 3 Plus, with Mitchell Reif and Adam Sherwinski. This is Binging with the Boys.
Hello, people. Welcome back to another episode of Binging with the Boys. I'm one of the hosts, Mitchell Reif, and I've got Adam Sherwinski here. Adam, say hi.
Hello there. How's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. We've been stilly this Friday, haven't we?
It's been a little bit goofy.
A lot of
that's
goofy
for sure.
action here.
Yeah,
so.
just a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's see if I can get your lower third in there, too. There we go. There we go. You can see
that's
what
my name down there.
That's your name right there. That's for sure. So, Adam, what are we talking about today?
So we were trying to think of things to talk about, right? And so one of the things I wanted to talk about was Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I've wanted to watch it. It's got Oscar Isaac in it. You know, I thought, okay, I like Guillermo del Toro. Also, this whole, phenomenon on Netflix. You may have heard of it, another Netflix thing. It's called Stranger Things.
Yeah, what
I don't think anyone's heard of that. It's like very niche.
Brothers Duff, something like that.
With the Duffer guys. These Duffer dudes. I don't know.
These Duffer guys.
Yeah.
Duffer boys.
No, we're going to talk about Stranger Things because we did see the finale there in theaters here in Champaign. And then we also watched Frankenstein. Part of it was because I was sick and I was like, hey, I'll watch Frankenstein. And if I just tell Mitchell to watch this movie, he's just going to do it.
Yeah,
it takes me, he has to drag me to watch movies, honestly.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes you come across and you've already watched this movie. But then there are other times like
The Fantastic Four where it
Morbius.
took forever.
Yeah,
I'm not watching Morbius. You're not making me watch Morbius. I'm not going to yell, it's Morbin time in my house.
It doesn't say that in the
know,
show
it's
or in the movie.
I'm trying to go in the memes.
Of course, you're playing into the meme there. But yeah, no, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not a part of the topic, though.
Yeah, we're talking about Frankenthings.
And
Frankenstein and Stranger Things.
Frankenstein came out with a second movie, right? With Christian Bale.
That's a different movie, I think.
I thought it was like some sort of origin.
No. So I think those are two separate movies because the one I'm talking about is Guillermo del Toro's.
Yeah.
That's the one we watched. And that's got
Jacob Elordi and then Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, and then they've got Mia Goth as Elizabeth and what's his name as who's not a character in the book, the uncle.
Yeah. He's a great actor.
I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
There you go. Now it came to me like Christoph Waltz.
He plays really good villains.
I love Christoph Waltz because he's got some really fun characters. It's like a reward when he plays the Dr. King in Django Unchained.
Oh my gosh, I have not seen Django. Actually.
Oh well, now we have to talk about another movie to watch.
There's a couple movies that I don't know. There's a couple movies that Adam doesn't know.
Since we're binging with the boys, talking about Stranger Things and Frankenstein, two things you could binge in a couple weekends, actually. I'm giving you things that we got a show to binge. We got a movie on the same platform, Netflix. So there you go, back to back.
A couple weekends. Who has the time to binge through Stranger Things? First of all,
through the first season of Stranger Things in one day.
There's 4 seasons, buddy. And last I checked, there's 2 days in the weekend.
There's 5 seasons now, actually.
Oh, there's 5 seasons.
There's 5 seasons, yeah. Plus that 2-hour long finale we saw in theaters,
which was fantastic. It was very good. It was very good. And I've never even seen Stranger Things actually.
Yeah, I was looking at him like, do you know what's going on? He's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, all right, you're here for a fun ride.
And honestly, when it comes to movie loving or I guess TV loving, I don't really mind not knowing the background as long as I can kind of experience it with everyone else there. Also, you guys all knew the lore behind everything, so it was a little less of the fact that I'm on the outs and more so like, oh, this is cool to experience.
Yeah, I think for me, what was interesting was that I had seen up except for one episode, and I was still a little lost. Like I picked it up really quick, but I was only one episode behind. You had not seen any of it. And then we've got people who hadn't seen it since the first season or the third season. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be way different. The first season is not the same as the 5th season. And even 2 episodes ago is slightly different than what they're doing. They're just going full tilt bore, expecting you to see the whole thing when you watch that finale. So keep that in mind. I don't know if they still have it in theaters or not. But I know that was a big thing. We did that on New Year's Day. We got a whole group from the station that wanted to go see it. And so we went and saw it and got our popcorn.
Got a good time. I got a beer. I had a popcorn. I was going to get a hot dog, but...
We had a hot dog beforehand. We went to
Portillo's afterward, or beforehand.
Anyway, though, but yeah, it was a good time, good theater. I will say that a lot of people there. It's funny, we pulled up and I went, wow, I didn't expect this big of a line. And that's because, well, there's nothing else to do on New Year's Day except go to the movies theater. So everyone was taking advantage of that. Plus the Stranger Things came out, the finale. And so, we went to go see that. The whole group, I think we had almost half a section of just us from work. And there were people there wearing their Hellfire shirts. There were people wearing their, stuff from the 80s, people that were big fans.
They were pretty jazzed about the finale.
There were a lot of people that were into it.
A lot of mixed emotions, too. So I've got a question for you from someone who's you've seen the show, a big fan of the show. After seeing the finale,
Big's a word. I mean, I like the show, but I wouldn't call myself a big fan.
Okay, interesting.
I liked it, but
so my question is how's it kind of portrayed for the last 4 seasons of the show? Does it relate to the earlier seasons? I've also heard that the fact that it's kind of a little bit different from
it's different.
shows.
It's different than the first season for sure, but like every show is different than the first season. They do tie some things back, but not a lot. I mean, there are some things. It's been a while since I've watched the first season. I know people who watch the first season, then they'll watch it again, and they'll watch the second season, they'll watch it again, like because they want to see that stuff in the background.
Our morning producer.
Yeah, our morning producer. She was like trying to nitpick everything and like She was the one who organized us all getting together.
Calling out. I heard she was crying during the theater.
Yeah,
although a lot of people were
crying. I was not crying. I was like, let's keep her moving.
It makes sense though. Like when you grow up with characters for these, the show's been running for 10 years?
Almost 10 years, yeah. Because I remember I was in college when it first came out.
You get really connected with these characters and character development, and maybe parents also watching this in the 80s, having a good time watching it. So
I remember the first season I binged in one day, if not 2 days, during spring break. And it was really good. Like it was just, bite size, not bite size, but it was very palatable, easy to get through. It wasn't super scary, but it was creepy. And that's the thing. I like creepy things. I don't like jump out scare, like that. like there are certain movies I'm like, I'm definitely not going to watch that. There's a spooky ghost in it. But if it's like, just kind of creepy in terms, and there's a couple of scares, I'll live through it. But there was nothing that was, to me, I mean, it didn't feel like it was that scary of a show. Was it to you?
No,
it was more mystery than anything else.
Not really
I love mystery. It's a good mystery.
It seems more thriller mystery.
Yeah, I like that
vibe,
more.
And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
After just watching the season finale, or the series finale, I should say, as a kind of blanket canvas, I have nothing to kind of base my fan base on, I guess, with Stranger Things. I didn't really hate it. I thought it was very, very cool. I'm curious to see what the earlier seasons are going to be like. I think I will start the show to watch it just to get a little grasp of what everyone has experienced over this 10 years. Although it does feel like I kind of missed out.
There's a lot of characters that weren't brought back, or they do mention, like Eddie was mentioned. Spoilers. They mentioned Eddie in this season because he was in last season.
What happens with Eddie?
I'm not going to spoil it here.
Just kidding. I do know.
We try not to spoil it, his things as much as we can, but if we see spoilers, I mean, that's kind of on you, right?
That's true. That's true. It's tough to avoid.
But they talk about Eddie, but they don't really mention like Barb or Susie, which are some other characters. I was like, oh man, Susie was a cool character from one of the earlier seasons, and her relationship with Dustin. I like Dustin.
So there were letdowns, you say?
No,
in the
there was just.
finale?
I thought there'd be more callbacks. There was only a handful of callbacks.
We only have so much time,
and they did a whole review thing where they had at the end where they showed clips from the earlier seasons and the impact that the main villain had on those characters. And the person who struck the final blow was like, no, I'm fine with that because, it should have been this person. No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my own critiques that we'll get to in a second, but I want to kind of talk about the cultural impact of this series, because think about how many actors and actresses too that their careers have really picked up and kind of blossomed because of the show.
Off because Eddie, Joseph Quinn, right?
He plays Eddie.
Johnny Storm now.
Storm now. And he's in he's been in a couple other projects too. That wasn't his first show he was in, but I mean, that kind of helped him get to, I think, the Fantastic Four route. But Millie Bobby Brown, now Millie Bobby Bon Jovi. She was Millie Bobby Brown in the beginning when she was the beginning of this show, and now she's already married, has a kid. And that's the weird thing. These are supposed to be teenagers. I'm like,
Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi.
Yeah, she's Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi. Actually, Millie Bon Jovi, but Millie Bobby Bon Jovi. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know how to do it.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, say it 5 times fast. But it's like, okay, these people like now are in their 20s and stuff too. Who else had a big Joe Carey? Is that
Joe Keery?
Carey? I couldn't remember if it was Keery or Carey. Yeah. But he's got that music when I'm back in Chicago that everyone hears.
Great song.
Which
Great
is
song.
Guy who plays Steve. Now they're all doing their own thing. Sadie Sink is supposedly supposed to be the new Spider-Man movie.
She'll be in the Spider-Man movie.
Confirmed.
She's teased to play Jean Grey now. Yeah, I know. Isn't that an interesting poll? They're tossing a lot of X-Men. What you were saying?
Well, I'm just saying. Yeah, we could talk about X-Men for a while too. And then you've got David Harbour, who got to be in the.
Who is David Harbour? Is what he means to say. He kind of had a name way before Stranger Things.
But I think he's gotten more significant roles since doing that as playing Hopper.
Absolutely.
And then the only one I think that was had bigger stuff before they did Stranger Things was Winona Ryder.
Ryder, yeah.
Which, I mean, she does a great job as
Ginormous
Joyce.
name,
Yeah, so that's a huge name, too.
I think it was one of those bigger names that brought to the show that may have boosted the show in a little bit. Not to mention that obviously the storyline is.
Well, she's been in a lot of creepy stuff before with Tim Burton too, so it kind of fit the role. She's kind of been in that before, but no, I think it was a good cast, great casting, and those people have done other things. They're now looking at other projects and able to do other projects now too with it. So hats off to them for getting the kind of the blossoming. I don't know if that's the word. Kind of the bloom from the little one one show to more. That just shows you how impactful this show was. Yeah. Now, 20, 30 years from now, is it going to be one of those impactful shows? Maybe. But, I mean, I think for now, it's going to set the stage for other things for other actors and actresses and go from there. So, I mean, good job to them. Cultural impact, I mean, people have been talking about this for years. It's been such a big buildup. To have it in the movie theater, that's kind of, that's how it's been a big deal these last couple of years. So, had a big cultural impact. It had people playing D&D. That's the cool thing about it.
Absolutely.
A lot of people were like, D&D's for nerds, and now it's like, now that Stranger Things, the whole show starts with the boys playing D&D, and from then you've got more people playing more D&D, so that becomes a little bit more...
community building.
But it becomes more visual, like, hey, this is what D&D is. It's not, it's just this. But it also has the nostalgia factor, too, of the
That's where I
90s,
think the show
80s.
might last, and,
it will.
Like in those 30 years, it might still be seen as kind of this cool history piece.
Selection for the tracks and stuff. I mean, those are throwbacks for some people for their high school days and middle school days.
Yeah, I heard the music choice
Should
was
I
absolutely
stay or should
out
I
of
go?
this world. Yeah, I heard it was filled with this nostalgia. Excuse me.
Running Up That Hill. I mean, that song Kate Bush, I think is her name, the one who does that song. I could be wrong, but Running Up That Hill has been played so much since I think season 3 and 4. Or maybe it was previous season, that it's so popular now. I don't think that song has been that popular since it first came out. Or Puppet Master from Metallica. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good songs. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a really good song, and now it's popular with people who were definitely not born in the 80s.
Never heard the song before or known the song before, which is kind of great. But I think it's one of these shows that I just looked it up. The Netflix is. It was one of their bigger shows that obviously made a big boom in their Netflix original series. So I'm sure after that it kind of really took off. That's for sure. Any comments on Stranger Things before we take this quick break?
We'll talk some more here in a little bit.
That's for sure.
Let's go to break.
Awesome. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Mitchell Reif here. Welcomed by Adam Sherwinski.
Hello.
Adam, hello. We were just talking Stranger Things. Oh no, our lower thirds got bumped up at the same time.
Look at that. Oh,
well, you saw us really quick.
Well, I'm Adam and that's Mitchell. So
you know us.
You know us.
From the morning show.
The morning show.
We're taking a break from our coffee-filled morning show to talk about movies. We talked about Stranger Things just a little bit.
Let's talk some more about Stranger Things.
Yeah, I'm totally down. It created a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And before we went to break, I was talking about, I just looked it up in June or July of 2016. That's when it debuted.
Okay, yeah.
Big boom for Netflix right after House of Cards debuted too. Did you ever watch House of Cards?
I did not, and I think that was a time period when Netflix was getting that joke of like it was greenlighting anything.
Right,
and now they've gotten more strict about it.
It was really tippy-toeing into the whole
and it paid off.
Original creativity. And
this show paid off for them. It kind of showed that Netflix could do their own original stuff. So good on them, I guess, for taking a risk on this show and it paying off.
And to get to a point where you're series is getting a theatrical release is pretty huge.
And now you're getting spin-offs too.
Yeah, now you're getting spin-offs, and that comes with the money making side of it. Netflix, lower your prices, please. But yeah, no, I'm with you. That's pretty
but now I saw that the Duffer Brothers have a whole thing. They're like, okay, Stranger Things is done, but we're not done with the universe it's in. We're not done with Hawkins, Indiana, and the characters from Hawkins. So I think people will see their favorite characters again. Okay. Just in different capacities.
So at the end, I don't want to spoil things.
Well, we can talk about the finale. Hey, spoiler alerts, by the way. If you haven't seen the finale,
alerts, if you haven't watched the finale,
and pick us back up again.
And then press play on this. So at the end of the 2 hour, it was like 2 hours and some change, right?
Yeah, it was a good amount of time. It was the longest episode.
The four older characters, we'll say, they go and do kind of their own thing. It kind of teased almost to a spin-off.
Nancy, Steve, Jonathan, and Robin are all on the rooftop talking. about, because it takes place like 18 months after the end of the finale, at the end of everything. And they're kind of all reminiscing, and they're there for the graduation for the boys and Max. And so they all have the graduation ceremony, and they all get together to kind of talk about what they're going into. So like college, what projects they're working on, what jobs they're working on, and each one's doing something a little bit different.
The funny part is that all of those characters are probably like, I think 30.
They're almost 30. They're pushing 30, if not at
maybe?
30.
Yeah,
They're 30s. But that's shout out to their makeup directors to make them, keeping them looking young.
Absolutely.
But they're in that point. They're in their 20s anyway, so it would make sense.
It would make sense.
But they're kind of going through that stage of life where you're done with college, or maybe in the middle of college, and your high school friends. You only have a core of them. You're not like hanging out with everybody from high school anymore. You're hanging out with your friends that you still hold on to. Because I don't know about you. I know for me, I've got some good friends from high school that I haven't talked to in a while. I've got some great friends that I talk to all the time.
Absolutely.
From high school. And so some are closer than others. And that's that kind of little quick bond. And like, you just see everyone go their separate ways, and they still try to make time for each other. And that just shows their close bondness. They're going to meet up in Philadelphia because they're all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think? What do you suspect is the spinoff series that they could go? As you know the series a little bit.
I have not seen the full. I've seen the full list, but one of them is an animated version, Tales of 85 or something like that, and so that'll be interesting to watch to see if they do anything different or if it's just a rehash of one of the seasons, but animated, which I'm not totally against.
Animated is coming back, and Netflix
I'm not
has done a
against
couple animated, original shows that they could knock out. That's for sure. And I could see this show taking off, especially in the D&D factor. This would be somewhere where they could really, express their creativity.
So Tales of 85 or something like that, and then they've got like something with Steve Harrington, because Steve is a very popular character. In the finale, spoiler again, there's a scene where Steve almost bites the dust. He almost dies, and they go to black.
Don't tell me. Just kidding.
You were there. Goes to black, and all of a sudden, everyone in the crowd, I remember hearing go, and I heard somebody behind me like just freaking out.
Yeah,
and
I heard a gal behind me go, "No way, no way!"
And I'm like, and it's funny because everyone's freaking out, and I'm just sitting there like, he's gonna get saved, and all of a sudden, he gets saved last second. I'm like, no surprise, he got saved by Jonathan. Spoilers.
There are some times where us not movie geniuses, but I've seen a lot of movies in my time, and seeing those markings where it's like the character could die or not die, and you kind of like call out the obvious of now they're going to save him.
There's only one character.
Plot armor.
There's only maybe two characters that die that are significant in the finale. I will say that. I'm just gonna.
I know. I just leave it there.
We all told you with spoilers. We all told you with spoilers.
Go watch it. Go watch it right now.
So yeah, more about the finale too. I think there's a lot of questions that still have not been answered. So that does open the spin-off door, as you mentioned before, because you were asking about what's next. But I think there are some doors that are closed. I don't think they're going to bring back Vecna, because Vecna bit the dust pretty hard,
very significantly,
which was a really cool scene. I mean, I know a lot of people,
scene, even with someone who hasn't seen any of the background, you can the way they do these long versions of these episodes or these theatrical releases, you can still feel almost all of the context being brought back to a singular moment, having no background knowledge. And I think that's such a fantastic.
I like the way that they had the final fight. The only concern that people did bring up is like, where are all the Demogorgons? Why didn't they show up? I'm like, well, they're probably in the abyss, and the Demogorgons couldn't show up into the abyss with the mind flayer and all that. They're like, okay, there's a lot. You got to remember, there's a lot happening right now, so not everything can always happen. It's always that's a 2020 kind of thing. It's like, well, yeah, I bet you in a fight, you're not thinking about all the moves you can do in one fight. You're trying to think about what you can do next. Your brain doesn't work that way. It's like, I've got all these options. I can hit pause and do it real quick. It's not a video game.
I also think it builds up the villainous aspect of Vecna. You said Vecna, right? That's
Vecna. But also it shows like a layer that he's not perfect. Also, he was getting shot at as the mind flayer. He was getting a fight with Elle. He's got 7 different things he's thinking about. Last thing he's thinking about is sending some Demogorgons after, or Demodogs or whatever.
Demodogs.
They do have Demodogs. That's the ones that are on 4. Yeah,
that was funny.
But the whole fight at the end, I think my favorite thing with that was that it was intense. There was, and then
emotions running high, that's for sure.
Finally, another character almost dies, which was a character that if they died, Nancy, I wouldn't have been upset about. I like Nancy. Rambo Nancy has been my favorite character all season. I love Rambo Nancy. The hair,
all of a sudden, I'm seeing all these memes go around about Nancy doing the whole. Yeah,
she's just Rambo.
It worked. It was awesome.
And what it is that it's a complete deviation. That's one character that's completely different from their first season.
Really?
popular goody two shoes girl with a high successful career. Now you've got Rambo, but
That's
a girl.
who Nancy was in the beginning?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
She was going out with Steve at the time too.
It's so cool.
Her and Steve used to date, and then she dated Jonathan, and then spoiler alert, a couple episodes before, her and Jonathan broke up. So yeah,
okay.
There's a lot of
give
drama.
me all the tea that I have no idea.
There's a lot
about.
of tea there. And that's one of those things that the dynamic at the beginning of this season between Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve is like weird because it looks like Jonathan and Steve are trying to fight for Nancy, and it's just a whole weird love triangle thing. That's not really a love triangle.
The Ross and Rachel love triangle.
It's weird. And I mean that it's like a good way, but it's like, oh, okay, there's something here.
But it creates tension, and a lot of I think audiences, we love that. We love seeing tension, drama fill the screen in some sort of way that pulls almost, it stretches things.
Another character that's changed, I think, for I wouldn't say the worst, but it's definitely different. As Robin from the first season she's introduced. I think it's season 3 when they're at the mall. She's introduced, and she's very much the typical, like, I don't want to be here, I hate everybody thing. And they open up to why she's like that. So it does explain why she really breaks out of that and becomes more of the awkward, funny, not funny, but intentionally, but the awkward girl who's really like, just the weird, awkward, not weird, awkward, but like, okay, that's awkward.
All right,
statement.
I guess we'll go do that.
Yeah. You saw her. You know what I mean by Robin. But Robin is one of my favorite characters, too, because of that. But I will say that it's a weird transition from when you watch her from season 1 to season the current season. You're just like, these are two very different characters. Going back to the final fight, though, we get to the final fight. The Vecna's gets stabbed on his own thing, or is it the Demogorgon's like spike or whatever?
Yeah.
He's gasping for air. Everyone's running up and trying to finish the job because that's the whole point of the season is we have to finish off Vecna and save Holly. But that's kind of like
side quest.
Well, not side quest,
not
but
the side quest,
they're tied together.
Yeah. As soon as one happens, the other book.
They're both connected, but you have to do both at the same time. So one group's trying to do one part to it's kind of like you have to do one to save the other. We'll talk more about the fight coming up here. I know we got to go to break in just a bit, but let's just say that it was very satisfying to watch how Vecna and who it was that killed Vecna. I'm not going to talk more about that, but I was like, this is a good scene right here.
Yeah,
actually.
it created a lot of emotion.
A lot of tech.
And it pushed even those who weren't exposed to the show, some emotions were running high too. I was a little teary-eyed, I'm not going to lie. I was a little crazy, but it was pretty good.
We'll talk about Frankenstein next, right?
Yeah, we should bring
another
out
monster. One monster we should talk about. Instead of Vecna, we're going to Frankenstein's monster.
Yes. The Oscar Isaac Frankenstein that just released on Netflix. That's coming up. That and more after the break. Hello. You were about to talk, Adam. You were about to jump on all over this microphone.
No, I was just breathing in air. Am I allowed to do that? I'm not allowed to do that?
I guess so. Welcome back to the show. Mitchell Rifle just flashed again. It was going super crazy there, but now it's back.
I think the most entertaining thing about the show is that we have these lower thirds that are all over the place.
They're trying to work themselves in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They are working their way. There's Adam.
Me.
But yeah, so we've been talking about Stranger Things this whole episode, but now we're getting back into, it's kind of a thriller episode, if you will.
Yeah, it's kind of a thriller, not super scary, but it tiptoes that horror line. We're going to talk about a classic, though. We were talking about another Netflix thing, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Victor!
Yeah,
it was a great movie.
So I do like Mary Shelley's book, Frankenstein. I think it's a classic. It sets off the Gothic genre for the 1800s. You could do a whole literature segment about it, or you could talk about the historic / literature impact that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is. Frankenstein, or modern day Prometheus, is a really big book, and it was written in the early 1800s. Before my favorite Gothic horror novel, Dracula, was kind of putting out there. So that's how it's a big deal. And there's a whole lot of history between Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley, and the background behind this story is fascinating because it involves a dream that Mary Shelley had while they were all visiting friends like Lord Byron. I think Lord Byron and a bunch of them were all in a cabin visiting each other. And then, Mary has a dream, and then she writes the next day.
The story of
Frankenstein.
Interesting. So,
my details might be a little rough but it's basically her conception. And again, she's a female writer in the 1800s, which is very unheard of back then. But I mean, huge British literature right there. So look up the story of Mary Shelley. It's actually sad. Her life has been kind of rough. And Percy Shelley, their life together. There's a lot going on there. You could almost do a whole movie about the Shelleys. I think there is a movie about the Mary and Percy Shelley.
That would be kind of a good movie.
There's a lot going on there. But let's talk about Frankenstein or modern day Prometheus. Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I like Guillermo del Toro.
Yep. Oscar Isaac. We've got
Isaac's
Jacob
good.
Elordi.
Well, I didn't know who that was until I watched the movie.
Yeah. Euphoria is Jacob Elordi. Those who are watching the
Never
show
watched
who
Euphoria.
have seen that show. I haven't seen it either, but it's a great movie. Who is that villain in that movie again? What did you say?
There is no...
Christoph. I guess.
Okay,
Yeah, the
he's
uncle
not a
isn't a villain.
He usually plays a villain.
The only villain in that movie is Victor.
Or could you argue that, or the monster? That's what I love about Frankenstein. There's a lot of questions here that it opens up about, the whole thing. The whole thing about Frankenstein in the book too. And there are pieces that are taken and connected to the book, the original writing by Mary Shelley, that they keep, and then there's a lot they throw away or they add to, or that Guillermo del Toro adds to. So it's not a perfect one-for-one book and movie. They do have a movie out there called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which you can also watch as well from '94. Didn't score as well as some of the other Frankenstein movies. I've noticed Frankenstein movies don't do very well sometimes.
It's a tough
one because I think
follow,
people try to change things too much or change too little.
Yeah.
And, it just kind of back and forth. I will say that Guillermo del Toro's is clearly a fact that he respects the book. You can see that with the way the setting is, with the ship, and
the way the writing is, the graphics too,
and some of the words that are said, like "it is finished." When Victor says that, it's like, okay, that's in the book.
That's right. You said to me this morning or yesterday that he doesn't say it's alive. Like
he finishes it, and I think he gets it all set up, and he goes, "It is finished," and that's what he says after creating the monster. Before,
Interesting.
And you remember that scene where he says, "It is finished."
Yeah.
Which is in the book, but there's characters that are changed around. Elizabeth is not his brother's fiance. In the book, it's his wife to be. It's his fiance.
His love interest. Okay.
It's his fiance, and there's still a love interest there, but it's two
in
different
this movie,
characters.
they kind of have that still.
Christoph Waltz's character is not really in the book,
but he's such a powerhouse of an actor that bringing him onto any project, I'm sure, is going to bring some variability to whatever stretches.
Guillermo del Toro is also a big classic movie monsters, like the Universal movie monsters from the 1930s, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy. Those are like his favorite movies as a kid. He loves those kinds of movies. That's why he makes the movies that he does. And his movies are hauntingly beautiful in some ways. I love Guillermo del Toro movies. He did a great job with Pinocchio. That one was a little bit more fanciful and magical and mystical.
A little bit more.
Labyrinth's a good movie. It's a little freaky, but you can see the kind of little elements in there.
Wait. Labyrinth? He did the Labyrinth?
Yeah, the one with the guy with the eyes like this one.
I'm trying to think that reminds me.
Is it Pan's Labyrinth, I think, is what I'm thinking of.
'cause
Not Labyrinth with David Bowie, but the other one.
I was going to say the Labyrinth.
Yeah, the guy with the eyes.
Bowie.
You ever seen that guy that has got the eyes that are in his head like that?
I want to say I have, but
it's a good movie.
You've just got me out of the David Bowie Labyrinth. That's
a good movie too. It's completely different. But when it comes to that, no, he's done a lot of good stuff. I mean, Shape of Water is another one that was big. But anyway, he has such respect for those movies and enjoys those movies so much, and they inspired him so much that's why he wanted to make Frankenstein. You can tell while watching this, he wanted this to be good.
Yeah,
he wanted to take his time and make it his own. And he worked for years to try to make this movie happen. And Netflix finally gave him the green light to do it, and you can tell he put his effort into it. But yeah, there's some things that are different from the book, but there's some of the things that are like around the story, but not exactly. So if you want a one-to-one, this is not a one-to-one. This is not a crazy mad scientist just because he's a crazy mad scientist. Like, it's a lie, Igor, I've done it. There is no Igor. In the book, there's no Igor. It's just him. And now in the movie, it's Arlander,
his brother.
Christoph Waltz is.
Christoph Waltz
and his brother's bankrolling things too.
Right.
So there is some assistance there too. But in the book, it's like straight up Victor is just doing his own thing.
But in this movie, they give him the time and the space to kind of like, Oscar Isaac did such a wonderful job in kind of creating some of this tension as well as creating some of this. He's starting off very sane, right? In the movie, he starts off with the idea that, reanimating this person or reanimating a person is scientific discovery, is in a time that, this is obviously impossible to re-alive someone or reanimate someone. But, obviously the doctors, the university is against this idea. And when Frankenstein or when Victor goes there and he's demonstrating how this actually works, of course, no one believes him, but finds it a little bit freaky, finds it a little bit uneasy, but he still kind of doubles down on it. And then lower and lower into the movie, or further and further into the movie, you see, like you mentioned, Victor kind of go crazy, and he did a great job at
committed a big
displaying
sin.
that.
And that's the thing. It's like he wants to fight death, conquer death, show that death is not, you can reverse death. And that's the theme with every single Frankenstein movie. To this, they take it in different directions.
Right.
But once he sees what he's created and realizes he can't tame it, he can't really work with it. And it's funny because you watch the beginning, how his father treated him, trying to teach him,
and he became very disciplined
the same way, and
right,
was beating
with Frankenstein,
him and with the monster, not Frankenstein, with the monster, the creature. Gotta remember, it's the creature. Everyone goes, "That's a Frankenstein."
He isn't
the
Frankenstein. The doctor
Victor is the Frankenstein in a sense. So whenever you talk about Frankenstein, that's Victor Frankenstein, but everyone calls the monster Frankenstein.
It's a good one. It really did. You okay? So first,
I'm just looking at the cast list right now. Just because I wanted to. Sorry, I'm using my phone for that. But yeah, it was Heinrich Harlander. Herr Harlander.
Was that the brother?
That was Elizabeth's. No, not Elizabeth. That was the German guy who wanted to. So he has an ulterior motive. He sees Oscar, which is not in the book either. Oscar Isaac's character Victor is giving a demonstration in Edinburgh, and he's going, "Hey, look what I can do! Bring back these muscles!" And there's a whole a trailer on that too.
The spine and
the
then
corpse,
I think it's
part of the corpse.
The right hand catches the
ball,
or something.
and
very cool.
Release,
very cool scene.
Please always works or something like that. It's a really good scene, and everyone's like, "This is disgusting! How dare you do these parlor tricks?" And Aaron was like, That's a good idea. So he meets up with him. He's like, "I will bankroll you if you figure out how to bring a corpse back to life.
$1 is not, you don't need to think about the money.
$1 amount will be wrong. I will do what I can.
Yeah, he will buy whatever you need.
I will do what you need here."
The tower was
Yeah,
awesome.
they bought a tower for everything, for conducting electricity. But what was cool about it was that he has an ulterior motive, and you don't think he's just doing this for pure love of science. Actually, no, he's dying, and he wants to find a way to use that next body that Victor is building. And again, Victor's at the point now where it's like, I don't care about digging up corpses and putting them together. You're thinking, this man has no limits. He actually has a limit and says, "I'm not putting your head in that body because it's not right." And it's like, wow, he actually does have a limit.
Right.
And you find out that's one of the limits that he has. And even in the other stories, he does have a limit. You just don't see that limit until it's too late.
What I think is kind of fun to see is that limit is only met when he finds the monster again. When the monster is the one that tells him, spoilers for the movie, go watch it. But you get a POV, if you will, of Victor Frankenstein, but you get another POV of the monster.
There's Victor's tale and the monster's tale, and they separate it by two different parts in the same movie.
And I kind of love when movies will do that. They kind of let you hear from the other side, and then all of a sudden when they meet up together, it seems like that's the scene where Victor kind of sustains or creates a new moral of, I really can't cheat death.
I goofed up. I really goofed.
I can't, but that I shouldn't, even though I've done it, something's gone really wrong.
Yeah. I know that, I could talk about Frankenstein just in general, the book, the movies and all that, and for days, because there's just so much content here. Because it was also written in a time period where there's a lot of that precursor science to and people were talking about, is there a way to reanimate life? And even before she had that dream, Lord Byron, I think, and Percy were having a conversation about the new science is found in because it was the tail end of the Age of Enlightenment, the scientific revolution, but before the Victorian era. So wasn't that kind of the fall of one, the rise of the Industrial Revolution was happening. So there was new technology happening all the time, and that was a time period people think, oh, we could do this and this and this. And obviously we haven't even cracked that, and we're 21st century, so it sounds fantastic, but that's what they thought they could do then. So the science part of that kind of is impulsed in this series and impulsed in this franchise. I should say that this movie monster,
this version of
this version, in every single version too. But I mean, you can kind of see it with the way that the technical stuff is done,
and how the social circles kind of run very, very hands off or standoffish towards Victor's ideas or the science community.
Which makes sense. I mean, to reanimate a corpse like that is actually kind of terrifying if you really think about it. Even from somebody who's like, I have science, I'm like, there's some things you probably shouldn't do.
Some lines of nature we don't cross.
I mean, I've seen Jurassic Park.
Maybe that's a different line. Maybe we do.
It's a different movie. But anyway, what I want to say is
Isn't the science community talking about reanimating a mammoth?
That's a whole different topic. That's a whole different topic.
That's under our Jurassic Park, podcast.
Sorry. So Yeah, great movie, monster movie. Check it out for yourselves if you like the Frankenstein movies, if you like classic horror movie monsters. We don't want to give too much away. Love the set design. Love one of my favorite scenes is nothing to do with the monster itself being a monster and scary. It's literally the monsters at the North Pole because it's getting chased to the North Pole, or it's getting followed to the North Pole by Victor. Victor's hunting him at this point, and it's just a sheet of ice. Victor's looking out at the same kind of polar sunset, and it's just a beautiful blue sky. You can just tell how cold it is. Great settings. Again, good movie.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Except the deer looked really fake in that. The deer looked fake.
I
did not like the deer in that movie.
But I will say, that the cinematic feel of it's dark, it's gritty, it's it feels longer than it actually is. You get two different storylines meshed together. It's really beautiful.
Yep.
Really beautiful.
Go check it out on Netflix and then compare it to another Frankenstein movie you like.
Yeah, give it a go, give it a check, and let us know what you think. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to Binging with the Boys. After this break, Adam is smiling ear to ear on the other side of the camera. We're prepared. We've been talking about Stranger Things. We've also been talking about Frankenstein.
Strangerstein.
Strangerstein. Adam is
Frankenthings. Strangerstein.
Frankenthings and Strangerstein. But Adam, you kind of read the story. You've read a bunch of the stories of Frankenstein.
I got a lot of it. Not like I sat and read. The only one I've sat and read is Dracula. And even then, it was kind of the best way I've done it recently is audiobook kind of version of it. But there are people who do kind of the not the Spark Notes version, but the more condensed, because it's 1800s literature. I'm gonna tell you right now, anything written before 1905, I have a hard time reading because it's a completely different kind of language.
Yeah.
I've read The Jungle, and not that it's a bad book.
Completely different jargon and
they're using words. I'm like, I wouldn't use that word anymore. That's a word I don't know. That's a word I don't know. Nobody says that anymore. What is that? Ooh, definitely should not say that word because it was written in 1902. The Jungle is a great example of that. I'm like, I'm reading the book and I'm like, I get what's going on, but this is a slog fest.
But this is crazy to be reading.
We could talk about The Jungle a lot because I think that's another book. They made one movie of it and you can't find the movie anymore. And so I don't think they've ever tried to make The Jungle again, which is kind of a good thing because it's disgusting.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could talk about The Jungle forever. It's a great book.
But if we took a step back.
Okay, back to Frankenstein.
No, as in an audience member.
Oh, as an audience member, okay.
Because you've read a lot of this, and it seems like you've been very, very surrounded, at least by these thrillers.
I like my horror movie monsters.
Right, by these monsters. If you were an audience member that had never seen any Frankensteins, what's the first thing you notice about this
Where's
movie
his
that is
little bolts in his neck that you see on the
right? Yeah,
there's a lot of things that pop culture takes from it.
Yeah,
and that's not what it was in the book. And people just say that's Frankenstein. Where's his bolts? It's like, first of all, his name's the creature. Second of all, he doesn't have bolts in his neck necessarily.
Yeah,
the way that it's described in Mary Shelley's book is not the same as what it is in the 30s version, where it's the Tesla coils and Igor with the chains and
it's alive.
It's none of that. It's more Victor going insane and basically just doing this job because he wants to conquer death, and it's just it's kind of grossifies it a bit more. Not mad scientist is more like, ew, he's just doing something horrid.
And in all reality,
science.
from my take of it, I think Victor Frankenstein is our antagonist of this movie.
He both is and isn't. I don't think there's a pure antagonist.
No, you're right. There's not an
it's
evil
more of a
versus,
moral dilemma kind of movie.
Moral versus immorals and life and death. And what's so cool is the second POV when you get to the monster's idea, and he goes on his travels, we'll say, and he
almost gets burned alive, which didn't happen in the movie either. It's more so what happened in the book. In the movie, he gets burnt. Victor tries to kill him. Tries to kill him
multiple times,
and then finally it escapes. In the book, Victor is just terrified by what he's created and disgusted by that. He runs away.
Really?
And so he just runs away after that thing tries to just say hi, or not hi, but just interact with Victor. And Victor's like, I have really screwed up.
I've done a bad thing. All of a sudden, it works, and he's like, wait, not a chance. No thanks.
So and eventually he does come to that in the movie too, but it takes him, and he's trying to teach it, and he just doesn't teach it well.
Yeah, he's attempting.
He
at
teaches
first he's very excited.
His
at
father
first,
was
he's
monster,
showing him what the sun is. He's like, here, this is it's good for you. It's good for your skin. And he's like, you're not saying anything other than Victor. Say another word. Victor.
And then he does learn Elizabeth, though.
Yes. I mean, he learns
has a
a
connection
whole
with
slew
Elizabeth.
of vocabulary.
Because Elizabeth was gentle with him.
That's what I'm saying is when you see the Victor or the monster POV and you see him meet the old man, spoilers.
Blind man, yeah.
The blind man, the sweet old man. You see that he's exposed to this kind, gentleman that's like, here to like
he makes a friend.
Yeah, he makes a friend.
Spirit of the forest.
Exactly. And
And
so
he learns from the girl. I mean, because what happens was in his travels, he ends up.
he's open to learning.
Yeah,
I don't think Victor was very
which
like
I think all humans are to a certain degree.
with him not knowing anything. He was
Yeah.
like, "Why don't you know everything immediately?" And
Yeah.
he was like, "Well, I'm
he
just a baby."
He's basically a baby, but a man.
Pretty much.
But he
Super strong,
He goes into this. What happens is he goes into this kind of like little hovel and watches the old man and blind man interact with his granddaughter, his family. Kind of learns from them, and kind of helps them out too. So it's like, we need firewood, and he's like, I'm gonna go out and get some firewood for these people.
Yeah.
Gets out firewood, helps them out,
And all of a
gets
sudden,
home,
the fence is like busted down, and
gets
then
mended.
shockingly, like
Yeah.
it gets mended by him. Yeah.
and he helps take out some of the wolves when wolves attack. So he kind of learns, just kind of about the world. And that's the same way in the book too. He tries to make a connection with the blind man. Blind man's like, you're my friend. You've helped me out. I know who you are. You're the spirit of the forest, is what he calls it. But that's not what he says in the book. And he's really cool with it. The blind man is cool because he doesn't see how disgustingly monstrous he is. He just knows him
Right.
by his heart.
And it's that, classic
like,
trope
oh,
of
that's
like,
cool.
don't judge a book by its cover. And
The family
there's more
comes
to it.
back, shoots at him.
Yep.
And they shoot at him out of a misunderstanding because he was trying to save the old man after he gets attacked by wolves. Again, there's a whole scene about it.
Him attacking the wolves back in that scene, holy
Intense.
cow. If
He's
you
like
are
grown-
not an adult, do not watch this movie.
Yeah, don't watch this movie if you're not like over 18.
I think it's rated R.
It's rated R.
It should be. That scene alone is
Pretty graphic.
pretty tough.
But anyway, he gets shot at, and that's because they see him as a monster. They don't see him on the inside.
No.
And that could have been, if that had never happened, and that's the same way in the book too, had that moment never happened where he gets chased off by other humans for how disgusting he is and how much of a monster he is, he probably would have been a normal member of society.
Right, yeah.
And he learns to read. He learns how to do all this stuff. In fact, they pull out Paradise
Yeah.
Lost, and I'm like, that's actually one of the books they mention in the book.
He even gets curious about like different, like he asks
Yeah.
the old man, he's like, is this, the only books we have in the world? And of course he's like,
No, there's a bunch.
a million others. But yeah, he gets very inquisitive
Mm-hmm.
about what life is. And I think that's such a, that's true. Like if that family never came back and was like, who are you? Why have you attacked my
in fact, I think
father?
Paradise Lost is a good allegory, or not allegory, but a pairing for both the Frankenstein book and movie. And with, it's just that Paradise Lost is a whole different topic, though. Even though it's not one of my favorites, I think Milton's a little. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, I'm not going to get started on Milton. What I will say is that after that scene, that's when you see him and he dives full head on into the whole monster thing.
Yeah.
And because he's treated like a monster, he's like, fine, I'll be a monster. He finds Victor and says, you're going to make me a bride, which he does do in the book too.
I was really, I like as soon as that scene comes on in the
You
movie,
need a mate.
I looked at the timeline of the movie and I was like, there's no way they're going to like reanimate
So
another person.
in the book,
We don't
he
have time for
actually
that.
does make a bride,
Okay, so he does make one.
but he
Okay.
destroys it. Once he's like, you know what? Can't do this again. I can't do this again. Destroys it.
That's when the moral comes in.
And then
Okay.
he's like,
Interesting.
and that's the thing with, he said, he's the monster was there. He's like, you know what? You denied me this. I'll be with you on your wedding night. And then in the book, he kills Elizabeth after they get married. Yeah. Whereas in this, he doesn't kill Elizabeth. Elizabeth gets attacked. It's a whole thing.
Victor
It's different.
accidentally shoots her. And,
Yeah, and
all
then
that
he
good
goes
stuff.
on a chase, and again, it's the whole thing about that. I will say that Atun Shea, I'm going to give a shout out to somebody, gives a very interesting way of analysis of it on YouTube. Definitely not for children because it's a
Okay.
little bit more of a different way and a different way of analyzing the Dracula story, not the movie, but the story of Dracula in the books and how it relates almost to Victor's weird obsession with motherhood and how it connects more to motherhood than fatherhood, which we would think because Victor's a guy, he gave life. Well,
No, I mean, yeah,
there's a
and-
motherhood aspect is that he gave life and he's a man,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
kind of almost like a perversion almost is what the whole thing is like, that's the whole like thing that Mary Shelley's trying to throw at this
Interesting.
because Mary Shelley has a very interesting relationship with her mother because she died very young. So again, he's tying these two things, Mary Shelley's
Yeah.
mother or relationship with her mother and Victor's relationship with his mother, and then like the whole motherhood thing in a theme with a male monster and a male scientist.
What a very cool.
It's interesting to watch.
Concept to kind of tackle.
I would say definitely watch it if you want to see somebody else give an analysis of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. But be forewarned, it is not for children.
That's for sure.
But that's on your own time.
Yeah, neither is this movie. It's a little dark. It's a little gritty for mature audiences for sure.
Victor.
But it is very good, very moving. And like Adam said, it's got a lot of tropes in it.
A lot of action, too.
Listen, we're going to take one last break, and we'll be right back right after this. Perfect. We're back here with Binging with the Boys. We were talking about Frankenstein with Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi. We were also talking about
Stranger Things, Stranger Stein,
Franken
Things.
I've got Adam here. Adam, I've got a question for you on Frankenstein. What are one of the scenes or top 3 scenes that you think that they should have done differently or done again? Or like
they should have, I would say
maybe a couple more takes on this scene, or
they should have made Elizabeth the love interest as she was in the book. I mean, she was a love interest, but not his brother's fiance, which was weird.
There was wow, I'm trying to talk. There was almost too many obstacles for Victor to get to Elizabeth. Like he was one step, and then he was also she was also his brother's fiance. And
she also hated him at first.
Right,
it was just a lot. Yeah. I think Victor's okay. I'm trying to think of what else. They changed the ship from a bunch of English people to Dutch speakers, which is I'm not against. It's just like I don't remember them being Dutch, so I could be wrong on that.
That was the scene I was going to pick because I wanted to see more of the boat.
Yeah,
isn't that weird? Like I know it has not really a big story.
Yeah, it's more of a framing. Like here's where we're at, and this is what's happening.
It would be cool to see that background. How did Victor get to the boat? Why is he on the boat? He's traveling obviously to run from the monster.
And in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the movie, 1994 movie, which didn't score very well, but it's a good movie. It's very close to the book. They spent a lot of time on Victor on why he's so driven to conquer death in this regard, and why I think it's a good way of doing that because in the book you also get more of his background of where he's from. He's Genoese or Genevian. He's from not Sweden, Switzerland. There's this Genovese family. He was born in Italy, so there is a lot of globetrotting in the book, but they don't show him like he's a baron, but he's like they don't show that he's he's got a title from Switzerland. Like that's a whole big thing about it. It's in outside of the Swiss Alps and everything, or within the Swiss Alps. So I was like, there's a lot of things they just didn't really put into from the book that are kind of key pieces.
Tough to fit into a movie.
And I get it. So I wouldn't say it's tough to fit in the movie because they did it in 1984 as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah. Definitely can be done, but I guess
it
in
also
the way
makes
that he
it
did
too long almost too. Right. So I get it. And it's also Guillermo del Toro's version of it. So I'm gonna let it ride, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. I will say one of the things that I think about when it comes to these thriller movies, I don't so much think about it when it comes to comedies because I take comedy movies as face value, something funny that I can rewatch.
Oh yeah.
This morning I watched Role Models. Remember Role Models? That's such a good movie. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages. Anyway, that is what was that? That's Paul. I can't remember.
Giamatti.
Regardless.
It's not Paul Giamatti.
No,
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Thank you. A question or a thought that comes to mind when I see these things is this movie or this comedy, would it work better as a TV show? I think this would kind of make a cool TV show.
You could make a TV show,
right?
but it would have to be pretty limited, though.
It would be tough. It would be a short release because Oscar Isaac's too big of an actor. So is Jacob Elordi.
And that's the thing is that
and he's probably
the story is a finite story. It's not like you could keep adding on to the script.
Right, but I think that there could be like a 1 season long, like a 9-episode season. Every episode is an hour long of is telling the story of Elizabeth, telling the story of Victor, telling the story of the monster.
Again, there's only so much source material. Okay. That's the thing. And source material is the key thing whenever you adapt a movie from a book, there's only so much source material unless you have the writer of the book on the movie set. Like with George R. Martin. George R. Martin's like, I'm making this canon because I can. I'm right here on set.
Sorry, we didn't write the last book, or sorry, I didn't write the last book.
Now. It's fine.
It's fine. We'll make it
Whereas
up as we go.
You can't really talk to Mary Shelley like, is that what you meant by that? And Mary's not going to respond because she's been dead for 200 years.
Yeah, she's not going to respond. No, she will leave that DM opened. That's for sure. Or unopened. I guess.
I don't know how she'd get it. She's dead.
Yeah, she's gone. But great movie. I thought it was really dark. I like that side of Netflix. I think they do dark movies.
Yeah,
really
go
well.
go watch your classic horror films. Go read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Compare the two. Watch the movie, and then watch Dracula because I always advocate for watching Dracula. I love me some Bram
Dracula's good.
Stoker.
Did you watch Dracula Untold by chance?
I did.
You did.
And it has nothing to do
right.
with the book.
You didn't like it because
I didn't hate it.
I even watched it and
it was
was
a good
like,
action movie. It just had nothing to do with the source material almost.
right. It was definitely a whole new comic of whatever that story of Dracula
Hey,
was.
that's when they were trying to set up for the cinematic universe for the Universal monsters.
Right,
they just kind of dropped that after the Mummy movie.
Yeah, they were really.
We could talk about that for
trying.
days.
I wonder what that universe would have looked like.
That would have been sick.
Who are the villains about to fight them? Like,
I don't know.
The heroes about to save
Who's going to be the
world?
heroes? Who's going to be the monsters?
Yeah, Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser.
Well, there was no Brendan Fraser. It's the Mummy from 20 with Tom Cruise in it.
Oh my!
They were going to do that as the
What?
first movie. And then they were going to have Dracula Untold. It sounded like, I don't know if they were or they weren't, but it sounded like they were going to do that.
So Jake Johnson from New Girl and Tom Cruise would be taking on these monsters.
It's fantastic. And then and then they were going to do Swamp Thing next, I think, and then Invisible Man.
Swamp Thing, DC. Isn't Swamp Thing
or
DC?
the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay,
Sorry,
very very similar
very
characters.
similar ideas.
That's for sure.
And then Invisible Man, and then the Wolf Man. So I think they were going to try and do that, and then Universal was like, absolutely not. That Mummy movie bombed. We're not doing this.
Yeah, and then they released something Wolfman. I want to see the MCU or Disney release something.
MCU did a Wolfman thing. I forget what it's called.
It's a short series or
Yeah,
something.
but it's black and white. Looks good. I have to watch it still.
Some of their black and white stuff is kind of.
We don't do werewolves enough anymore. Just gonna say that.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
do werewolves.
Honestly, monsters in general, we don't do enough transition monsters like werewolves, like wolves or like I don't know centaurs. Like I guess that's not really.
I don't think we've ever had a
but
centaur movie based around centaurs.
not about centaurs, but about monsters in general.
Yeah, we'll have to make up our own movie, right, guys?
I guess we'll have to make up our own movie.
Sounds like we're running out of time too.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but thanks for joining us here on Binging with the Boys. I've been Mitchell Rife.
I've been Adam.
Adam, thanks. Awesome. We'll be right back in the next one. Don't go anywhere.